Amy, we've got a whole background on you now. We don't have your braid. This is good.
We'll see how my phone is blowing up with stuff from my mother's facility, so I may have to disappear for on and off,
Okay,
but I'm
all
here.
right. Understood. Well, let's call the meeting to order. It is 11:01. Review and approve the minutes of May 27th. Anybody have any emendations or corrections?
Just applause. Well done. Nice work.
Agreed.
Yeah,
Yes,
good job.
yes. Okay, so
Mariana is working today, so I did share your nice note with her already, Marguerite, and it did make her smile. So.
good. So do we have a motion to approve?
I just have one quick comment, and that
Yeah.
is the bottom of page 2.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to underscore the importance of that last full sentence where it says Director Donovan recommends the library not withdraw the current story walk without an ADA complaint. I think it's, the more I think about it, the more I think that destroying that just because someone complains doesn't make any sense.
Okay, do we need to change the wording of the?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, all right, just for the record, David, in other words.
I
Yes.
will just make a quick note. In the initial draft of the minutes that I sent out, I said that you approved the previous minutes as amended, but I went back and I watched your meeting, and the minutes were not actually amended in the last meeting. They were approved as proposed. So that there was a small change in that to be
Okay.
consistent with what was the reality. So I always go through them now and I make sure that everything
Okay.
makes sense.
I see you put in as proposed. Okay, so,
Yeah.
okay, thank you. And for these current minutes of May 27th, do I have a motion
I
to?
motion to approve.
Okay, that's Amy, and do I have a second?
Second,
All right, so we'll vote on that. Trustee Landry, aye. Trustee Ekberg,
Aye.
Trustee Yazdani,
Aye.
Trustee Reagan.
aye.
Okay, and I think that's, motion passes. There we are. Kathy, who is the Kathy?
It's Kathy Gittens, who is she's the vice president, the new vice president of the Friends of the Southborough Library. So some
Oh,
people had an opportunity to meet her
Yes.
if they attended the sale, but Kathy is I said we have the section on public comment later, so Kathy may introduce herself at that
good.
point and just
Okay,
say hi to
good.
you.
Welcome aboard.
I will just say Kathy's a good person to know. So
That's really good. Yes, I think
Jane-
it's part.
Jane
Yep.
and Janet are with us just
Okay.
to update. The minutes were just approved. So
Mhm.
I sorry that you guys,
That's
it went
fine.
fast.
I had
So,
no changes.
Right,
They
yes,
were good.
And-
Can you hear me?
yes.
yeah,
Okay, I don't know what's going on with my video, but I'm here.
All right. And I explained, Jane, if we go past noon, you may have to take over as chair because I have a hard stop.
Yes, I
All right.
know.
Thank
I'm
you
ready.
for which
I'm
I
ready.
thank.
I'm here for you.
Okay, and we have Kathy Gittens with us, who is a friend, part of our new, what's the word? Hope to increase the cross pollination between the trustees and the friends. That's not exactly the word I wanted, but you get the general idea. We're not plants, but there it is. Anyway, the director's report, Ryan. Anything that you need to point out for us?
does anybody have any questions on the financials at this point?
No, you're spending down appropriately.
We have one payable left. We have one payroll left. And then the split payroll is going to be for one day, just for Wednesday, June 30th. So it'll be the next pay period is going to be like a little bit part of the next payroll, but there's almost going to be, just to give you kind of an idea, at least a full payroll of money left over. So it's still pretty targeted from what I said before. What I can tell you is I've had many conversations with the library staff. Basically everybody has put in final orders now. I have to tally everything up because we got some additional invoices today. what I can tell you is after all of those conversations about using the Mary Fay Fund, I don't even know if we're gonna have to use it this year, because it seems like the staff have really tried to spend down the budget, and a lot of them now have July orders ready to go. And I think we like just hit our target, which is kind of what the dream is. That's not always the reality, right? There are a couple back ordered items which we just can't cancel because of the vendors. So if those come in, but I think Kim Regan had asked me a couple times, like what would be the amount of money we'd be spending out of the Mary Fay Fund? If any, we're talking about, I would say like $100, $200 max. I don't see it being a substantial amount. So I'll give you an update in July if we end up having to go that route.
Great. Ryan, do you have a number for turn back for salaries or a closer estimate?
I will after I complete the next payroll. If
Okay.
you guys want to update a total before the next meeting, or you want me, I mean, I'm going to send it out with all of the July materials because I'll have it then. But it's a little tricky, Kim, just because we're not actually done yet. So
Yeah.
I could also give you what the estimated total would be, but let's say I have a part-time staff member call out sick, right? Or they want like a vacation day that we grant in the next 2 weeks,
Mhm.
then we don't pay them for that. So then the number changes.
Yeah, no, that's fine. We can wait for when it's ready.
So that was a good question, Kim. Last I heard, it was about $20,000. Is that right? Ballpark?
Ish, I would say ish, yeah.
Okay.
It might be a
20,000.
little bit less than that. It might be closer to like, what we put in as a payroll is about 16,000. It looks like pretty much the full amount of a payroll is that, I would say like,
Okay.
that is what is gonna be left. So it's
Okay.
still a pretty significant amount we're turning back again this year.
It is, but there it is. What can you do? Other questions about that, or shall we move on to the quarterly report on the supplemental
I have
account?
two quick questions on the director's report. Are we still there?
Mm-hmm, yes.
In the middle of the page, how much do we pay Jill Froman?
We're gonna be paying her, we've paid her nothing up until
That's what I
now.
thought.
Yes,
This is
so
the free
she's
here
been-
for.
She's been doing it free.
Yeah.
My joke is kind of that she's wised up and
Yeah.
she knows that we pay for programs. We also are in a different situation this fiscal year because we have a budget. So I did, I don't want to say that I've like encouraged Jill to be compensated, but I have asked her a couple times if
Yep.
if the programs are going to remain free. And at this point, I think she's saying, is there money available? And then we kind of negotiated. I will say $100 per program is a lot. It's less than we pay some of our other vendors, right? So this is going to be the first time we compensate her for the programs, and it's going to be $100 per session. So it's going to be $400 for the July, August, June, and July, August, September, October. Part of the reason too that we've moved into compensation is because 2 of the programs are going to be kind of those cooking, the seasonal ingredient cooking programs, and she'll need money to actually buy the ingredients for them, which I thought was,
So, David,
Reasonable.
are you questioning it or?
Oh, no. I think it's
Okay.
appropriate that she get paid. And I think the $100 a session is reasonable.
Great. Okay, good. Yes, she's been quite a mainstay for programming during the whole end of the pandemic. I think it's been very good. Other
Also in the middle of that page, cut 2 lines below the Jill Roman, if someone could be good enough to correct the spelling of Ekberg.
yes, that was my fault. I'm sorry, David.
That's okay.
I knew that I spelled it wrong when I was writing it really fast, and then I did
That's
not
okay.
catch
Not a
it.
big deal.
Will not be
Other-
the last time your last name is misspelled.
Oh
That I
my
get.
God. Okay, well, let's not go into those weeds right now. Any other questions about the director's report?
Are you gonna talk about the Friends meeting? Like it says on here that David went to it. Is that because it's not an agenda item?
Yes, and I should note, just because I usually give you guys a programming update, there has been some, first of all, the knitting program is booked. And then the blog post that we had prove that we have a lot of interest in this. So even though the knitting program doesn't even start until next week, we are already talking about whether or not we're going to expand this program and continue it. And I think definitely some type of continuation in the fall, but we want to try to give information to people who are on the wait. Our wait list is now bigger than the participation number.
How many participants?
We have eight. Because the instructor wanted to limit it just to 8 people. And there's about, I think, 8 or 9 people on the wait list.
Oh,
at the
that's
moment.
sad. Is there any way to work them into another, I mean, it seems like. if
We
people-
are, I'm working on it, Marguerite.
Okay.
I didn't know there would be this much interest because when we tried to run this right before COVID, we were having trouble signing people up. So I think this
What does
kind
that
of,
tell you?
it kind of shows you that I guess, combined with the help we get from my Southborough, I
Yeah,
think the marketing engine of the library, right? Maybe we're like a victim of our own success, right?
yeah,
These
the
limited
ad was
number of
great. The
people.
ad was wonderful. So
As
I,
well as people took up crochet and knitting during the pandemic. So now they probably need some in-person help with the tricky stuff, I would
yes,
guess.
yes,
Too. All
how
of it
to,
is creating quite a,
how to put the
That's great.
sleeves on, right, yeah. So that's good, very successful, glad to hear that. Other questions about the
the-
director's report?
So there's a summer seed exchange that's happening tomorrow where we're going to be, it's kind of a companion event. And then also Mrs. Freddie Gillespie asked me to communicate that there's going to be a garden tour for the native plant garden, which looks fantastic.
It
If you guys have
does.
been to the library, there's a lot of work and time and love, I think, has gone into that area. And we've been getting a lot of compliments, including from some of the gardeners who seem, I think, happy with it. So if you guys are available on the 25th at 10 o'clock, I believe it's at 10 o'clock, there's going to be a tour, and then they're going to head over to, is it the Beals Preserve or Breakneck Hill, Janet? It's Beals, right? I think that they're doing, or is it Breakneck Hill? There's information
I
out
think it
there.
was
Right.
Beal.
I was thinking Beals, but I know they're having trouble getting it in or something. They're having trouble over there, so I don't know.
Well, come to
I
the
just
library
realized-
first and then
Come
and
to
then
the
they'll tell you where
library
to
first
go.
and they'll tell you, right. Okay, so Saturday, the 25th, 10 o'clock in the morning at the pollinator garden, which
Yeah.
sounds wonderful, yes. All right, other thoughts on the director's report, information contained therein? Nope, okay,
Well,
good.
well,
Go ahead, Jan.
just that meeting of the friends. I would
Oh,
like.
yeah.
Oh, yeah,
so
yeah,
there's
David. Tell
David,
us.
you go. How
Right.
thank you for attending, and what did you think?
Okay, well, I'll be brief. I'll answer questions if you want, but there was a two-page agenda, including the election of officers, update on fundraising, which is the 2 things, the fudge sales and the book sales, update on the cost of museum passes, children's programs. A lot of time was spent on that, and appropriately so. The important 2 important issues here: the membership and the fundraising are this is my words, not theirs, but are and apologies to Kathy Gittens if I get this wrong, but I think there's room for improvement, and I'm not being judgmental when I say that, but there's room for improvement. There seemed to be some concern about membership and along with that, fundraising. And there was finished with a discussion of membership fees. I think the important thing that came out of it to me was that there's room for improvement. Hope you would agree with this, Kathy Gittens. Room for improvement in terms of, I'll use the cross-pollination word again, cross-pollination between the Friends and the library trustees. And one way to start that might be, if you folks agree, to perhaps invite Beth Mello to our next meeting and put her on the agenda, let her talk a little bit about the Friends, and have that be an example of the Friends and the trustees not being in their own silos, but beginning to work a little bit more collaboratively, which wouldn't be hard.
Well said. Who are the new officers for the Friends, David?
Yes, well, Beth Mello, president again, vice president, I think newly vice president Kathy Gittens, Treasurer Prudence Webster, and Recording Secretary Mary Tinty. Those were the, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's it.
Good. All right. Good. Okay, so yes, definitely. I also talked with Prudence on the phone. I think it would be lovely if the friends and the trustees work together. And I talked to her a little bit about the library fund and why it started, and that it's basically for its reason for being is for building eventually, although it does get used for other things. And I think it's wonderful that you're here, Kathy. And let's keep the conversation open between the two groups. And I think the synergy, I like that. That's better than pollination, right? Um, would be very, very useful for everybody. So, other thoughts and comments on the friends?
I don't think it's being critical. The group is small. The group has always been small. I think it's great that Kathy and Mary are, they're newer members, but it's great that they are taking positions on the executive board. This is the first time, I think, in a long time that the Friends have had a full board. So I think I'm excited with working with the new board members and continuing the relationship with the Friends. I think there is a synergy that can be achieved, I think, with all of the groups, since we all like the library and we all want to make the library the best it can be.
Right.
Well
Good.
said.
Yeah, I mean, they've struggled with fundraising because you can't do much with like 4 people, it makes it very hard. So I know when I was on the board in Kathy's position, it's just, you got to come up with fundraisers that take very little man hours and man effort. And they've done a great job of that. So.
Well, there's also the possibility for a mailing between us and them.
Those, I don't know. My experience
were-
on other boards, you end up breaking even and annoying people. So-
Yeah, that's true. We need a value added proposition here. We need something. But let's face it, we have a really good position physically in the middle of town. Anything we choose to do there is visible. So maybe we should put our heads together.
I do have a dream one day of having one of those fundraising thermometers. I don't know when it will materialize, like when
Well, that's
that will
building,
come.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I was gonna say. I think we need to be careful. I'm not sure why. And I think Beth also has this kind of mentality of, we need to have a reason we're fundraising. I don't think
Absolutely.
people
You
like
need an
us
ask. You
to
need an
just be
ask. Yeah.
fundraising for no reason. So I know Beth
Definitely
is
didn't ask. Yep.
very conscientious about not fundraising just to fundraise. So
No, there needs to be a reason. The last time the Southborough Library Fund, the first time they sent out a fundraising letter, which raised 11 grand, which was not bad. The ask was for the building and the future of the building. It was very specific. And it had to do with, well, that time there was flooding all the time. So that's what it was for.
So,
But yes, it had an ask.
so is there, on the newsletter that the library sends out, is there a little section for, I'm wondering whether they should put in a thing of what the money's being used for. I don't know.
For
We
the-
could do that. We have tried to give the Friends newsletter space when it comes up. So I think, again, I think the group's coming together and starting the lines of communication about things that want to be achieved. I would agree with Amy. I think the campaigns tend to go better when people know what the money is being used for. So I think if we have a future idea for a new campaign to really tell people what the value would be of contributing to something like that.
I think if we're doing for building or something, we need to be well more on a trail rather than just like further in the process than just asking for money for someday we will be renovating the library.
Well, the planning and design grant that the state wants is $75,000.
Yeah.
And it has to be money coming from the town in some form to show the will of the town to do it. So 75 grand is kind of a goal for that. And I'd always thought that the library fund was primarily aiming for that in some form.
That is a goal then, yeah.
Yeah.
Not just nebulous.
That specifically it was to be able to do a planning and design, to look at the town and find a site, a number of sites as the state requires. So that was my sense of it anyway.
All right, I know you're on a time crunch, Marguerite.
I am on a time crunch. Okay, the quarterly report supplemental accounts, can we table that until next time?
I mean, I kind of
Or
put it
Ryan,
out
do you have
there.
Okay.
I think that there was a discussion that was largely exhausted in the last meeting, but I
Mhm.
did promise you I was going to send you those quarterly reports. I
Right.
mean, if anybody wants to sit one-on-one, I will again reiterate that. I think what I might do is just forward the quarterly reports to you all when I get them. I do it to Kim Regan now because she
Mhm.
requested it. I think it would just be useful if you guys had that information. Is that okay with
Every
everybody? And then I think I can put this as part of our agenda packet when the next meeting comes up.
Mhm.
And then if you guys have any questions about it you want to address, I think we can do that as a standard agenda item.
All right.
Is that a good path? Is that a good path forward for this so that there's less confusion about the quarterly reports going forward?
Mhm. So quarterly reports presented to us every quarter.
Yeah,
All right. Do you have them for the most recent? Do you have the most?
this is the most recent report. So
Alright.
there will be a quarter four report generated sometime in the summer because it will include July.
Okay.
I don't think, we do have some state aid deposits that went through recently. And then I know we exhausted the SCF money because there was money left over. We did like that wine glass painting craft
Yes. Yeah.
for
Yeah.
adults. So that was sort of a recent expenditure. There really hasn't been a lot of activity. The grant funds are in good shape. And then that's just sort of the balance sheet of where we're at with everything.
So you can send the trustees the Q3.
Yeah, that was in this packet for this
Okay.
meeting.
All right.
So
Okay.
you
Good.
guys have the Q3, you'll get the Q4 when it comes out. So the Q3 is a little old. It was from, a few months ago, but the
Mhm.
Q4 will be sometime, I think I get them sometime in like August for
Alright.
that. So it's like usually about a month and a half after the period closes. But I
Okay.
can check, that's all with the town accounting department. That's when Carla has time to send it to me. And
Okay.
she's pretty good about it, I have to say. So thank you. Thank you, town accounting department. Thank you, Carla McCullough.
Verbal bouquet. Okay. Is everyone all right with that?
Yes.
Okay. I think that's a good add-in. All right. Moving right along. Thank you, Ryan. Revised library exhibit policy update.
We did blow past, sorry, Marguerite, the electronic usage report, but if it's okay,
Oh,
I
yeah,
would
yeah.
just like to say that's the same thing, is that
Mhm.
I have the usage report. I'm sending you the data. I'm available if you want to sit down one-on-one. You're getting this early just because I figured we were doing reports anyway, right?
Mhm.
You're going to also get a final, I don't know if it'll be ready in July because sometimes the vendors are late, but I can give you an updated database total in July or August. August is probably more reasonable depending on when we get the statistics. But because some of them are generated by the vendor and then sent to us. I think I'll just put this on the agenda for when we close out the fiscal year. And if you guys have any questions, we can talk about it then.
All right. This gets used in the IRS report eventually.
It gets used in Eris, and then also I think the data is useful for you if you want to review and talk about the long-term continuation of any database. Some of them require us to do signed agreements because all of the databases were budgeted for the next fiscal year. Our intention is to continue all of them. So if we have a discussion in the fall about cutting one, it would really be for FY24, if that makes sense. So it would be for the budget cycle following.
All right, Kim, you're kind of our metrics person. Does that work for you?
Yep, that works for me.
Okay.
Ryan, I do have some questions, but they're like really specific, so I'll just contact you separately.
Okay. And we can share that conversation with the rest of the board when this is evaluated later. But I'm not surprised, Kim. I think I know what one or two of the questions might be. So we can definitely sit down and talk about that at your convenience.
Yeah, no, I think it's good for us to look at it, and they are budgeted, which is great. But just based on looking at the prior 2 years' numbers, I think it would be good for us to review it just to see if there are other things we could do to encourage more usage, just as the year goes on. So
Good.
That's all.
Does that mean advertising certain things more?
yeah, I mean, there's some numbers that to me kind of look like they've fallen off. So I'm wondering if, there was anything like, did a link fall off the website, or did we make any changes that kind of unintentionally impacted usage? So it's kind of just stuff like that to make sure that we're encouraging as many people and making sure that they know about it.
Well,
The,
that's
the
great.
one thing I say is when we had a concentrated winter marketing plan for the databases, we
Mhm.
saw a definite correlation with
Mhm.
increasing usage. As we focused more in program marketing,
Mm.
I think there's a direct effect on that too. So I
Yeah.
think part of this is making sure the databases are reflected as part of the ongoing marketing of the library. It makes a difference.
Sounds good. The website looks fabulous, by the way. Really looks good. Okay, so electronic resources quarterly report, revised library exhibit policy update. As I understand, the main difference between the old policy and the new policy is it's for the new one's for the entire library, not simply the Eaton room. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay, so anybody have any changes to the version that we have in the packet?
I would just underscore the 1, 2, 3, 4th bullet point, which I think is admirable, that we should stick to this. We will not disallow exhibits solely based on controversial content. I think that's really important. If someone, a photographer wanted to have, say, a exhibit of the plight of the Palestinians, let's just say, that we should not shy away from something like that. We should, in fact, encourage something, whether it's controversial or not. So I think I like seeing that in there.
Mm-hmm, that's good.
A lot of the language from the original policy, which obviously is still present in this, was actually directly from other library policies that I reviewed on the Massachusetts Library System website. So it's a little bit of a smush of like all the things I thought were really important. So thank you, David. To me, that was an important note too, because we might not be our cup of tea for visual art, but I think it's important to be diverse and to have many voices.
Now, what do you do, Ryan, with like, I know this is a quaint, this is considered quaint nowadays, but like Maplethorpe type exhibit, way back, you're too young, forget it. But
I know what she means. I know.
Yep.
a bunch of,
We know.
some nudes
little-
or whatever. What are you gonna like? Where are they come to you, and
Well-
how do you make those decisions?
Maybe we should have a PG kind of rating.
Well, that's what I mean. I just don't, I just want to make sure you're prepared in case somebody wants to test your your metal on.
Well, what it
There are
doesn't say,
children
what
coming
it,
through. We have-
yeah,
That's
what
the
it-
only, yeah.
yeah, absolutely. But what it doesn't say in here that I find is it is the director's discretion for the choice of exhibits. Is that right?
I was going
It
to make
does
that
say that-
comment.
Where's
It-
that?
Oh, no, I couldn't find it in there either, Marguerite.
So it should be the person who makes the decision to hang the exhibit or not is the director. It needs to say that.
Okay, I can add that language and have it for you guys next time. I was worried about giving myself too much
Right.
Raw
power.
yes.
Well, and I think you could say something, so that we're not, to David's point, we're not limiting what discussions come up, but you could say something that it would have to be suitable for viewing by all
audiences.
ages.
All
Yes.
audiences, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good
Right.
idea.
I
So
mean,
the
not that
P-
nudity is
the
bad at all, but
PG-13?
you will get in trouble.
Again, make it at the director's discretion,
Yeah.
I say.
Yeah.
You just need,
Well, they have to deal with you anyway. I mean,
Yeah.
you can't just walk in and put up art, right, Ryan?
right, but
Or-
it doesn't say that in here.
No, I agree, Marguerite, I agree.
Yeah.
So
That's
should
why
we
I
also
brought it
list
up.
that the exhibit should be reviewed by the director first? Like,
Yes.
We could do
Approved.
that.
Hmm.
Or the
I
final,
toyed
the final
with putting
decision.
that in there, just to let you all know. And
The
then
final decisions about exhibits are at the discretion of the director.
yeah,
Do
I think
you
everything else
want-
looks great.
Do you want in collaboration with the trustees when needed or no? I don't know because sometimes you want backup or you don't want backup.
Have you ever had trouble with an exhibit being too
Inappropriate.
People
controversial?
foggy.
I don't I don't know that you guys will want to spend your time in
Okay, that's
meetings
fine.
reviewing individual exhibits or having people come, but that is really for you to determine. Like, I can't speak to that. I would just say sometimes things go into the day-to-day op of the library. You know, it's not like we're doing exhibitions all the time, but I would just say we're going to run more into individual thresholds for what is appropriate and what is not based on individual opinion. The more cooks you get in the kitchen.
Yeah,
right?
it's
So
fine by me for you to do it.
Yeah, I think it's your job. What, so just add
but
the
you
sentence.
could add, I
Yeah.
would echo, you could add in the assistant library director, that we both do it, and then
Yeah.
it's 2 people. And then I would just say, because Kim is responsible for children's services,
Yes.
that might help whether or
Good idea.
not there's a kid inappropriate.
Oh, that's good.
That's a
So
good
how
idea.
about,
Make
how about
sense?
the sentence,
Okay.
the final decision is at the discretion of the director and the assistant library director? Period, put that in somewhere.
Okay.
Okay, so can we approve the policy as amended,
I move to approve the policy as amended.
All right, so that's Amy, do I have a second?
Do we want to review the language first, or are we in a rush to approve it right now?
Oh, no, I don't
We
want
can
you
bring
to.
it back to the, I think we can bring it back to the next
Okay.
meeting.
Okay, bring it
Alright.
back.
That'd be my recommendation so that
All right.
everybody's happy with it.
Good.
So I like that you're trying to get it done, Marguerite. I would just say, I think it's good if everybody looks at it.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
That's good. Okay, so how about the next one, which is the library space use policy?
That needs to be tabled till July
Okay, we'll table
or
that.
possibly August. I'll throw that out there only
Okay.
because I have to do all of these documents for the personnel board for the pay and classification study they're
Yeah,
doing.
yeah.
And then I still have additional employee reviews for employees who have not been present yet in the past couple of weeks to complete. So I have I've been doing a lot of work for the personnel board. I have more to do. I have had to get extensions. Barry Rubenstein, the chair over there, he's been very understanding because I have the most employees out of any SAP department to review. So I'll just say that it unfortunately means that is what I've been writing. And I was off yesterday, and I know I shouldn't tell you guys this, but I was pretty much writing from 10 a.m. until 7, just catching up on stuff that I didn't get done because of people coming into the library. So
I think
so
we're
as
very
well.
understanding, right?
Yeah.
I will get you a space use policy. My goal is this summer, I promise you.
Oh,
Well, we've been living without an updated one for a while. I don't think
right,
couple
good
of months is
point,
gonna-
good point. Yeah, we're so tough on you, Ryan, that's the problem. Okay, the library facade restoration project, which is basically the, Janet, you wanna speak to that? It's the preservation restriction? Where are we on this?
Well, my update was on the actual work, if that's
Right.
okay. And then
Oh, okay, all right.
go over to Janet, but I did get a request from our friend Freddie Gillespie, who works with the CPC, on an update on the final bill. So I've checked in with Mary twice this week. She's been very responsive. I think the problem, the issue, the challenge has been getting representatives from Greenwood at the library to complete the cap flashing. So they have been on other jobs. They are trying to find a couple days, I think, in between jobs to come over here and to complete the project.
Yeah.
Mary has a presence in town because she's working on the townhouse. She has tried to engage them on this, but you know, Greenwood, the roofing company, is a subcontractor of Cal Hess. So the process has been kind of for me to get in touch with Mary. Mary gets in touch with Scott Packard at Cal Hess, and then Scott has to contact somebody from Greenwood, and then we have to run it back to the train, right? So, and we're including John Parent in those conversations as well. So, this will happen. That's what I told Freddie. I said, I do not know when. We're trying to get it done as soon as possible, as soon as we can get Greenwood here.
Is Greenwood working on the townhouse project?
They are not. So I think that has been part of the problem, is they are not on site. They are not going to be working on the roof of the townhouse.
I wonder why that is.
I saw their truck 2 days ago coming up Middle Road, and I thought, oh, they're going to the library. But I guess not. All right. Janet, do you
It
have
didn't.
any more to add on this, since you're our expert?
Oh, the preservation restriction?
Yes, and the whole
Yeah.
facade project.
I don't know. I mean, Ryan's on top of where things are. We just need to get it done.
I
Yes.
think
Should-
if it's
right.
okay with the board, then I think one of the next steps would be for Janet and I probably to meet with representatives from the CPC or go to a CPC meeting. But we also have several examples now of some restrictions that Preservation Worcester has like on file. And I would like to send one of those legal request forms to the town attorney to see if he can draft something up so that we could have a document that we could start working off of.
Okay.
So those are kind of the two things I think I would like to work on over the summer. I mean, the other thing is this is a little bit different than the roofing thing, but kind of on the same vein is that I can't predict when this is going to get done. I can tell you that Janet and I have been trying to engage with the town attorney. It is difficult. There was like an open time to go see him, and it was moved to Thursday this week, which was the day I had off. So I could work from home the whole day. So, if anything, we'll try to interface with him over the summer. And if Janet's available, she can come with me. And if not, I will go along. So,
Well, and I'd also like to have another meeting with Preservation Worcester.
yeah,
to just-
yes. Possibly with representatives from CPC if they're available.
Right.
I think that would be good.
Preservation Worcester is the organization that you're using for the restriction.
Yes, potentially.
Excellent.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, we should say potentially because
Right.
there's
Yeah.
no final decisions have been made, but
Okay.
that is definitely the organization we've got. Janet and I have gotten the most traction working with. So
It's the only one that seems really viable. So
Yeah, no, I
Ryan's
think
taking
that's
care of the
wonderful.
actual work involved in getting people together and stuff. And I've just been trying to talk it up. I've talked to a couple of the selectmen because they eventually have to approve whatever document it is. I talked to Freddie about it. Just bringing it up and getting the idea out there that, that there's something we're pursuing so that they
That's
know we're
great.
working on it, among other things.
That's great. That's great. It
Good
seems
question.
very promising. Go ahead, David. Sorry.
Janet, do I recall correctly that there's a $15,000 one-time fee? It's not a recurring fee. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
they refer to it, David, as a donation.
Yeah. Okay.
So I just want to make sure that you're aware of the language. that's being
All right.
used.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
But what we haven't done is we need a meeting to go through details of what would they provide for, what kind of expertise do they have, all that kind of stuff. We're overjoyed that they are willing to hold this for us.
That is
I
a
think-
very good word for it. Yes.
But I think we need to be able to sell it as an alternative to the $90,000 organization. We need to have a lot more details at our hands.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds extremely promising, and we are all very glad at this news. So please,
A lot of people,
us
I can tell
updated.
you, so it was difficult because the representative from Preservation Worcester was very sick when we met with her
Oh.
on Zoom. And then they were in the process of moving offices to a new location. So that was all a factor. I will say it's been hard trying to get people in the same room for meetings because a lot of people are setting meetings after July 4th. So that might be something that we're more looking at a July timeframe for some of this. I think all of that is reasonable. It's we'll work on this over the summer is my hope.
it sounds like that you guys are on top of it, and it's a question of getting the ducks lined up properly when they're available and able to do so. It sounds like you're doing exactly what you can at this point.
Well, and also just surface the issues. I'd rather know what concerns different groups have
Right.
in the beginning than
Yes.
when we have a proposed document.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. So we're sort of into the almost ready to write something, but needing a little more research. Yeah, great. I think that's fabulous news. The last item that we have on this agenda before public comment is item number 9, grant review options.
So this is probably something that Amy has done. I can speak more to. I can say that I have tried to help provide feedback on just how things are with like booking programs and, you know, like what kind of our time frame is for setting stuff up for marketing. So and one of the questions was, you know, how much notice do we really need before a program is booked? And, you know, the feedback I've given is kind of like, you know, we need at least a month, so like 30 days. But I'll be quiet. I think Amy kind of knows. I am continuing to work with her on that. I think we were going to draft some language and bring it to a future meeting, is my understanding, but she can correct me if that's
Nope, that's it.
Okay.
You've covered it.
So what are we looking at finally as a written document at a certain point, or an ongoing filing system, or what do you have in mind, Amy?
Well, this is just for outside people applying to use the library as a grant.
Mhm.
Or, you know, it's,
To
so
include
Ryan,
the library and, yeah.
yeah.
who
and
want to
Ryan,
propose a grant project for the library,
All
right?
right.
That would take place at the library, or that is a program at the library.
How often does that happen per year?
That I'm aware of.
Hmm.
I mean, I engage with all the people who want to write grants, so
So
not
it's
often.
quite a lot, in other words.
We write a lot of our own grants at this point, our grant proposals. The grant is they tell you this in the MBLC training, is the grant itself is the money you're getting, right? But the grant proposal is kind of what we're talking about, the document, right, that goes in. So I think it's just I think that any groups that we would work with, we would make aware of it. And then I would continue to work with that group on it. You know, if there was some sort of extenuating circumstances, we would want people to follow the policy, but I would try to work with people, especially if we're transitioning. You know, there wasn't a policy and we're going into a policy. I think I can work with those groups and
we're
get
just,
everybody on board.
yeah, and we're just including like that they have to adhere to all the regular policies, including the volunteer, space use, and exhibitor policies. So
Okay. Well,
it's
that's
just
good.
outside stuff, not the stuff that Ryan or his staff are applying to. It's so that people don't show up on the door at 7 o'clock with 50 people behind them saying, oh, well, we applied for the
Yeah.
grant and we want the space now. So,
All right.
You know, we've
Yeah,
had the people who have conducted private chess tutorials, you know, we want to have a policy for that. And then there's also been people who apply for, you know, local cultural council grants, and they don't inform us until after the money is granted. So I think I just cut Kim Regan off, but those are just two of the primary examples. I think why a policy would be helpful.
Yeah,
Okay,
I mean,
Kim, what were you going to say? Go
I
ahead.
was just going to say, Brian brought it up with the Cultural Arts Council. Like on the flip side, in order to apply for that grant, technically they are supposed to have approval for their location before they can even receive that grant money. So I'm sure sometimes it slips through, but
I was going to say, what kind of approval? Because when we used to do the applications at SEF, it had to be when it signed off on, like by the principal, when the staff applied. So I'm just curious. I guess you just take it for granted that the people have done what you asked them to do.
Who's the enforcer?
I want to say, so when I was on that board, I think they needed a letter, but we can ask whoever's in charge of the Arts Council right now. But I do remember we had to deny one of the grants because they didn't get approval from the library to host the thing they were planning to do.
And it's because they simply didn't realize it was necessary?
Yeah, I mean, but it is in the grant rules that you need to have like a confirmed location,
right,
in order to, you know, make it through the grant process.
There's also like individuals who just apply to every cultural council, and they do that, and then they kind of jump around from town to town. So that the other thing is I kind of want to avoid those people, because we've learned over time that those are not really quality programs, and they tend to have the most problems.
So they use the library as a venue, assuming it's going to be okay. All right, so I guess Ryan and Amy, what do you do if someone has a grant they've received and they haven't gotten a sign off from the library and they're planning to do it in the library? Do you just tell them no, or what do you do? What are you
can
going
make
to
that
do?
part of the policy. I don't think that's, I think at this point, with the current, what we're looking at, the answer might be no, or that it would have to go through some sort of review process. potentially. I don't know, Amy. I don't know if you want to speak to that.
Yeah, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do if somebody comes to you with a program they've gotten money for and it involves the library and it's the first you've heard of it?
In the case of cultural council grants, I can tell you that if it was a program we didn't want to have at the library or that we didn't think would be a good fit for our patrons, we
Mhm,
say, you know, thank you for your offer, but you're going to have to find another venue.
mhm.
And then I've either suggested alternate libraries or I speak with Pam and Peg over at the senior center and I see if they can have space
They're
there.
interested.
So that would be, I mean, I'm happy to do that to also suggest alternate venues or alternate libraries, but I think the idea is that if it's something that we are concerned about, or that I can personalize it if I'm concerned about it, that we would not hold it just because a grant proposal has been approved.
And Kim, you've had experience of this already where the permission to use the library wasn't given.
Right, so we didn't grant to that proposal. I mean, this was probably 3 or 4 years ago.
It still
since-
seems, yeah, it's still, the person applying simply didn't realize the library needed to be consulted.
Yes,
There's also programs that we've had, I will say, because of this, where the person wrote a grant, because I think that was helpful when Kim was on the board. I think when I first got here, they
Hmm.
didn't even have that letter requirement, right? So people were just writing grants. And there were a couple programs we had, I won't list them, but I was like, well, I'm going to try to work with the person to hold the program. And it was kind of against my instincts.
Mhm.
And then their programs were problematic.
So you tried to make it happen anyway, and it didn't work
Yeah,
out.
and I will just say, I would prefer if you know, my instincts are saying that this is not going to be a good fit, this is a bad idea. I mean, I try to work with every group, right? And I try to achieve programs as much as possible. I would just say if it's something that I don't think is a good fit, I hope you trust my judgment. And
Okay,
you know,
now
I do engage with the programmer on why I don't think it's a good fit too.
Mhm.
So
yeah, and is Kim Ivers, the assistant director, also a person who gets to review grants like this?
of course, especially when they involve programming
Children?
grants to younger
Wow.
children. I think if Kim were here and we can have her come, I think Kim will echo that
All right.
she would really prefer to be able to say no if in her determination it is not a good fit. And I will say, Kim and I, even though I more handle the adult programs and Kim handles the youth programs, we do have conversations with
Mhm.
each other about all programs. And, you know, if Kim thinks that I'm being too harsh, she will give me that feedback. And then it might be something we reevaluate, you know? And I will just say, we're not above having a conversation and trying to make something work. So
That's good, and of course the more the library collaborates with people who want to do grants and use the building and are appropriate, the better it is. I mean, here we are, we've got the space.
it's part of our
Yeah,
mission statement to work with
absolutely,
community organizations. So
Yeah.
right there.
agreed. I mean, I think it's great. All these people are wanting to write these grants to
Yes.
get money to do programs in our community. So I don't think we need to belabor it. And sometimes it's their first time and they just really don't realize that they
Oh,
need
no.
to get permission. So,
Mm.
you know, I would say that if we can accommodate it with the timing and we have the space and Ryan and Kim determine that it's in line with what the library needs, then sure, like let it happen. You know, but I think it's still good to have a policy in place. So
And
Agreed, and
I just
available on
met,
the
I know
website,
we're
yeah.
talking a lot about it, but I just met with Doug Peck, who's the chair of the Council on Aging.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things we talked about is having ongoing conversations moving forward about when a program for seniors makes sense at the library versus at the senior center. And kind of the default, right, is that it would take place at the senior center. But there are times when the senior center is not open in the later afternoon and in the evening. And if we want to have varied programming, we're going to do something in September for caregivers of family members who suffer from Alzheimer's, right? So the intended audience isn't even the seniors, right? It's really people at home who are taking care of seniors. And that was something where we're going to have a senior center presence there, but we're going to do it at the library because it's in the evening. So, you know,
That sounds
I would
great.
just say, there's other groups we work with, and sometimes an alternate venue then even makes sense. So
This sounds wonderful, and so there'll be some form of written policy available, link on the website, maybe, something like that for people.
yeah, we'll have to bring it back so that the full board can approve it.
Okay, that sounds great. Now, if there are no other comments on that, we're in the public comment section now. Have we still got Kathy with us?
Yes.
We do, and Kathy, if you would like to, she's unmuted, so she can say hi if she'd like the public comment.
Hi, Al. Thank you very much for inviting me to comment here. I just wanted to say that I'm really looking forward to working with the Friends this year, and appreciate all of your help, especially at the cleanup time at the book sale. We're looking forward to working with the Friends and the trustees together, because I think it's all about the connections that we make between these groups. That's really important. And this year, hopefully we'll be able to work together in increasing the awareness of what the Friends are charges, and also come up with some ideas for celebrating our 50 years.
Which is going to be fabulous, right? 50
Yes.
years of,
Yeah, I don't
50
think we
years of
mentioned that.
Friends.
So it's the 50th anniversary of the Friends coming out. So
Pretty amazing.
we're going to do some special stuff for that.
That's that really is great. Well, good to meet you, and I hope that we have more conversations in the near future. I guess, David, you're going to keep attending the Friends meetings, am I right?
Yes, I'm happy to, if that's okay with you guys. And so Kathy, if you would be so kind to make sure that I know what the schedule is of your meetings, I will continue to be a liaison. Okay.
Okay, that sounds good.
So great, good. I think this is a good bunch of steps in the right direction here. So other business that shall properly come before the board. Does anyone have anything they'd like to bring up at this point?
Sorry, Marguerite, I have to. So there is.
Brian does. Okay.
They are currently doing a pay and classification study for town departments.
Mhm.
That I am supposed to fill this out. I'm supposed to analyze my job description. I'm supposed to fill in my duties, write a couple comments. I have spoken with Barry Rubenstein, because my situation's a little different than some of the other people in town, and that I have a 6-member board, and that you guys are my authority, right? So I have asked what we're doing for some of the groups like that. He said that as long as the rest of the board is okay with this, Marguerite, as the chair, could provide sort of supervisor comments on the form. We're just fresh off doing my evaluation too, where Marguerite kind of combined everything. So you can designate another representative if you want. I would just say, I said the chair, potentially the vice chair. Sorry, Jane, I know I haven't talked to you about this, but that would be having one person kind of just, I guess, comment on the thing so we could submit the form. I haven't even started mine. I've just been working on the other employees. So I'm hoping to do this and have a draft to the designee next week.
When is it? When does personnel want it?
Last Wednesday, so 2 days ago. So I've asked for additional week, and then we've gotten 4 of the library submissions complete. I got 2 more late last night after I'd worked on them all day, so I took a break. So that's going to be my afternoon, is working on the 2 new ones and then mine.
What deadline is personnel under? I mean,
they are going to review these, I think, in the July meeting. They're working with a consulting firm called the Collins Center to do this. So they are scanning all of them. They said that it would be okay because the library has so many employees and positions to evaluate, that we could have some additional time. So
yeah, okay. So if their deadline isn't hideously pressing, I was thinking maybe anything that I would draft could go by this board at our next meeting.
I think.
Too
so
late.
the reason why I'm bringing this up is because I think that's too late. But sorry, we're happy. So I'm happy though to share the as long as the again, because you guys haven't decided if Marguerite will be the designee for this. This came up after the agenda was filed too. So that's why I'm bringing it up at the end of the meeting. I'm sorry. But
What are they asking for exactly?
I can send you all the form
All
so
right.
that you see it. So basically comments from your supervisor saying if there's any duties that I list that I forgot that I do. And then generalized comments on, I guess, how I work on my position. It's
So-
very similar to the evaluation.
I could take is everybody happy if I simply use content from Ryan's last evaluation for that?
Yes.
Yeah, that's fine.
That's
Okay.
good.
Yes.
There.
Yep.
So it won't be anything you haven't already seen and okayed. All right. Good.
It's timely
We
information.
can send it to all of you so that you review, that you see it at
Right.
least. And then if you're
Good.
really concerned about something, I can put you in touch with. It's Melanie Ostrek from the select board. She's the one compiling all of them. So you can.
She's the admin, right?
Yeah.
Atsuka? Yeah. All right, everyone. Do we have other comments?
You are on schedule.
My God,
job,
lucky
Marguerite.
me. Now I can go to the dentist. This is so tragic. All
When
right.
is the next meeting?
Next
July,
meeting.
so that came up, is that July 15th, it would be the third Friday.
Mhm.
And then that is also coincidentally the date that the executive order for the Zoom meetings for Massachusetts is slated to end for the sort of the remote meeting setup. So I would recommend keeping the 15th.
Okay.
Because if you move to a later date, you're gonna have to meet in person at the moment. And then I think generally we're looking at August potentially as an in-person meeting.
All
So
right.
that we'll have to kind of coordinate that and see if the Friday morning timeframe works. We can of course use the upstairs area in the library. It won't be utilized at that time. If you guys want to do another day, I know we have Tai Chi starting up in July, so we won't be able to do Thursdays.
So let's leave it at July 15th, and we'll have our usual flexibility to see when we actually do meet. But
I'll be away just to,
is that a grandchild trip?
no, it's a pregnant daughter trip. It's
We
in
can always-
advance of
We
the
can always count on you, Janet, to have good baby stories.
good baby story. The 2-month-old has learned to flip over already.
Oh, good.
Oh my
And
God.
Janet, I'm happy to sit with you before or after the meeting and go over anything. I mean, a lot of it, I think, will be review of close of fiscal year stuff, which most likely will continue until August anyway. I think like review, like the finalizing the exhibit policy, stuff like that is gonna happen. So I can sit with you one-on-one if you want.
Okay, or I can review the minutes after and see if there's anything that's,
To change there. Good. All right. So
Okay.
I would like to have a motion to adjourn if everybody's okay with that.
so moved.
Motion.
Okay.
Janet.
So Janet moves, Amy seconds. How's that?
Sounds good.
All right. Landry, I, and Ekberg,
All right.
Maney,
Aye.
Yazdani,
Aye.
and Davis,
Bye.
and Regan.
Hi.
Okay, I think that's all of us. Thank you, everyone, for indulging
wait.
me.
Oh, wait.
One
Ryan's
hour
gonna
meeting.
explode. What?
1 hour meeting. We did it in
I
an
know,
hour.
yay.
I just want to congratulate all of you.
Yes, and remember to go to Freddie, the open space garden tour, Saturday the 25th, 10 o'clock in the morning.
We need you to have dentist appointments after every meeting, Marguerite.
Oh my
Sorry.
God, thank you. I'll do that. I won't have a tooth left in my head. Bye, everybody.
All right. Have a great weekend.
You too.